Today in the crypto space, we see the market holding steady, Bitcoin right around 96,500, Ethereum right around the $1,800 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, a mix of green and red, some gainers, some losers, but at the end of the day, we're going sideways. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly today, I want to talk about one project that many people have been asking me about lately, and it's part of a bullish narrative, and of course, that project is called REALIO. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here, because the market is a little bit volatile. At the end, right now, we've been seeing that we've been getting a bit of a reaction because JP came out, basically saying things that we kind of expected, which means no rate change whatsoever. Interest rate changes would obviously induce a lot more volatility in this market, but nothing is happening there. And there's a little bit more talk, a little bit more yap about, interest rates and economic uncertainty and tariff uncertainty and all of this kind of stuff. And of course, tonight we can talk about that in a little bit more detail. But today I want to talk about Bitcoin, and more importantly, I will talk about REALIO. Why? Because it is part of an interesting narrative. Obviously, the real world asset narrative. REALIO is one of the first projects that really came out there and got a lot of people's attention, a couple of years back. So that's not bad to see, potentially a good level, a good buy opportunity for REALIO. If you're bullish and you're looking for an entry and you potentially missed out on the previous entry, this is another opportunity where you should be looking across the market on all the bullish projects that you are fundamentally interested in, and look for those entries, guys, because a lot of them are bear market bottoms. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Let's begin by looking at the top 100 just real quick, get a sense of what today is all about. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as an indicator, and then we'll move on to REALIO. As you can see, nothing happened today. Very uneventful. Pretty much sideways, jitter here and there. I think a lot of people were waiting for this FOMC meeting to come out and, give us some indication, although we, kind of premeditated exactly what was going to happen. However, guys, we are getting a bit of volatility towards the end of the day here. We see AVAX kind of doing its thing, down 2.9%, unfortunately, but I think AVAX right now is at a good level to potentially look for entries. I am building positions on AVAX. Hopefully, we start to see some strength out of the project very, very soon. And as we keep on going down, you can see some interesting projects, of course, getting a bit of volatility, a bit of interest, but not much. Not much as an aggregate, as a whole, as an industry altogether. We're not getting much volatility here, guys. I'll tell you this: we got Near Protocol coming down a little bit, 2.7%, and a few others, but nothing major, guys. These are all good opportunities. Even Render coming down a little bit, 3%. But generally speaking, guys, very, very sideways. Stacks is showing strength here. Basically a part of the Bitcoin narrative. And Bitcoin does well, Stacks does well. Stacks is doing good here, guys. It's up 11%, up 58% in the last 30 days. If you're a Stacks holder, congrats. It's been doing awesome. Let's make sure that we take a bit of profit. If you have been, if you are profitable or you have been taking a little bit too much risk, de-risk on events like this, because it gives you the opportunity to protect those gains. Okay, guys, so keep that important. Part of your job here is to protect your initial investment and then to protect the gains for sure. We got Farcoin coming down a little bit, guys. For those of you that are into Farcoin, you were getting a bit of a dip after a massive rally to the upside. A bit of relief there. It's fine if you're looking to build positions. But nonetheless, guys, the market in general, tends to retrace after major moves. Look at virtuals. All right, guys, just jump right into some charts. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, guys, back to the top of the range, getting a bit of a rejection. It held steady all day long until JP came out speaking, and then it showed a little bit of a weakness, right? Even though JP was fairly neutral and did hold his stance regarding economics, but it's not the point, guys. The market priced it in, and the reality is we're at resistance. So why not see a bit of a dip? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. The reality is that we should understand that longing at resistance is not the best way to do it, right? So we do see Bitcoin at resistance, right? Point of control is there, top of this cluster of volume, obviously dictated by previous price action, looking left, these tops, these tops, these tops. The previous top also is still there, and we're looking at the daily time frame. And this little structure that I identified earlier, I told you guys that this was a level where I'm going to be de-risking, and I did. A lot of my altcoin positions I de-risked. I did redeploy, but I did redeploy on projects that are at the bottom of the range, right? So I'm not giving back any of my gains. And that's very important to me because top gainers tend to dip harder than stagnant, laggers. They kind of stay there at the horizontal support a little longer. However, guys, as you can see, Bitcoin is still within a structure on this time frame. You can see right here, as long as we stay above 92,200, 92,300, we're still okay. We can come down to the mid 80s, as low as 85. That's very possible. We got another cluster supply and demand here that could act as support. We got one a little bit higher, right around the 88.5, which could be also a good level of support. We got to watch out. But at the current moment, there's nothing to be bearish about. Why? Because we did not make a lower low, and we did not make a lower high. In fact, all we're doing is ranging, which is fine, which is ultimately fine, because if we are in a negative stance, if we're basically feeling a negativity with regards to momentum and trend on the lower time frames, 1 hour, 15 minute, 4 hour, 6 hour, that's fine. Eventually, we should see the daily get back into play. In my opinion, I think the daily is still in control. We're just waiting for the lower time frames to get the relief, to get its pullback, to get its full reset of momentum, and then continue the daily to get overbought. The daily hasn't gotten overbought. Okay, which is so important to see. Like, we just hesitated right at 70. Now we're getting a pullback. We can get people shaken out here. And if we get an Uno reverse right into this level, we get a bullish response back to overbought conditions, and bang, we start expanding to the upside in a very, very strong way, particularly when we see the purple line get overbought. So in the meantime, I am staying bullish until proven otherwise, guys. I'm not going to be shaken out here. I haven't been shaken out throughout all of this. And that's just because I understand what's happening with this price action. I am prepared. I am psychologically prepared, emotionally prepared, and more importantly, economically prepared to withstand whatever volatility we get within this structure. Okay. And as long as we stay within the structure, we're good. Okay, so don't get shaken out just yet. Have your invalidation just in case. Of course, you want to take a stop loss and get out if we do reverse and come down here. But until then, guys, don't get shaken out. Okay, so that's Bitcoin real quick. We're still pretty neutral, doing okay. Lower time frames right now, taking a bit of a dip. And look what happened to the last time we came down. Bitcoin came down to about 93,500. Altcoins also took a bit of a hit. So let's be prepared for that, right? Who knows what happens? Obviously, we have the Asia market coming out tonight, and it could definitely respond to this pullback right here for continuation to the upside. I think we're digesting a lot of what JP said also, so we gotta give it some time to kind of find its equilibrium. But at the current moment, guys, nothing emotional. Don't react emotionally here. Okay, let's take a look at RIO. What's going on with RIO? To be honest, I've been trying to stick with the large caps, and I'm going to slowly start shifting, not because I believe that we shouldn't be deploying in larger caps. It's just now I'm at that point where it's like I want to stay one step ahead, like I always tell you guys. And the only way to do that is start looking at the lower caps and to start putting a watch list together where we could keep an eye on projects that are looking great, so that when we see signs of rotation and we see signs of an altcoin season, that we already know exactly where we want to allocate capital, exactly how we want to rotate our capital. And I think RIO is a real contender here to attract a bit of not only mind share, but of course capital, right? Liquidity. People coming in with fresh capital, bring that total market cap a little bit higher, would be healthy. And then again, the question is, how much of that total capital can REALIO attract? I think REALIO can attract quite a bit. It did in the past. As you can see, it ran up significantly. It's a project that is very traditional in the sense of real world assets. It's about real estate and tokenizing real estate. And if that's interesting to you, I would highly recommend that you take a look at my deep dive. Yes, it's slightly outdated, but the fundamentals don't really change that much. obviously, but a Realio update would be due. Why? Because Realio came out with a lot of new tech that could definitely improve the fundamentals. Not only that, but the tech stack itself. Okay, so very important moments here for Realio. I do suggest that you do some research because I have a feeling it could be a really good gainer. Now, we do have to understand that we're back to the bear market bottoms. And obviously, full disclosure, I traded this level very, very successfully here on the channel. We talked about Realio quite a bit at this time. And we ran up very, very well. So you got to understand there's some people that have a really good feeling about Realio. Why? Because it made them lots of gains. And then ultimately now this full retracement right back 1-to-1. And here I am making Realio videos once again. Why? Because the risk to reward ratio is good. Right? That's all it is. It's all about opportunity, and the opportunity is here. Now, I'm not saying that we can't come down and maybe, break down below this thick white yellow line and hunt a little bit of these stop losses that are down here. That is very possible because you can understand that people would put stops here and, start DCAing in here. And the market makers know that there's, a bit of liquidity there to be hunted. We come down, get those people liquidated, and then we backtest in spring. That is very possible. A swing failure, an AMD structure, a bit of accumulation, manipulation, distribution right into this zone. But what's more important is that you focus on spot at this current moment. Why? Because this general area is not bad. You're pretty much at one of the greatest levels to be accumulating this asset, given the fact that it's very close to the previous bottom. And in validation of this bullish thesis is literally right below this yellow line. If we break below, guys, you got to hang tight a little bit because we can definitely do one of these. But the question is after this is, do we get back above and back test in spring for the swing failure? Or do we come down and get rejected and come down and make lower lows and start falling? I highly doubt that this option is going to happen, but this is still very possible. Why? Because again, if there's stop losses there and there's a motivation, an incentive for market makers to push the price down a little bit lower, keeping in mind that Realio's market cap is small, it could definitely come down and sweep those lows and get a few people wrecked before we start moving to the upside once again and start looking for opportunities. Now, okay, that's the bearish case scenario. As you can see, there is not really a strong bearish case scenario because this current zone is protected by the very good invalidation level that's nearby. Look at this volume right here. Look at this volume right here. Okay, I want to ask you this. What are these goons doing down here? What are they doing? Right? You got to ask yourself, since there is volume and market participation down here at this level, what are they doing? Are they accumulating or are they distributing? Is this an accumulation phase or another distribution where we're going to get into a quick sell-off once again and dip down further? Now, it could be big picture accumulation, and we could still have that volatility with that swing failure, basically an inducement by market makers. Could be very possible, right? But at the end of the day, I have this feeling that this structure here, especially if it starts to play out with a proper change of character, could define an accumulation area. Now, we did make lower lows right here. It's very aware. Double top is also, fine. It's great. Resistance, as you can see. But if we can make a confirmed higher low right into here, that's a good sign that market structure is giving us. It's giving us the idea that, the bears are potentially a little bit weak here. And if you look at this chart, if right down here, the volatility line is pretty much trying to get oversold. If it gets oversold, which it's almost there, I can expect a little bit more negativity in this structure down here. Okay, which means that we can come down even as low as maybe the 886 retracement, 16.7 cents, and potentially look for that bottom, maybe respecting this bottom once again. Still a higher low, still looking like an inverse head and shoulder. But what's even more important to me is the divergence and all the other, indications of this chart that let me believe that maybe this is a good level to accumulate a bit of Realio. Okay, coupled with volume, obviously we got to keep that in mind. Volatility is oversold. We got a nice expansion. Let me just quickly reposition this on the screen a little bit better and expand this out so we can see some of these oscillators a bit better. As you can see, the volatility line is down. We see the green expansion in the background, guys. We finally are seeing some green expansions. I just want to show you what happened last time we got the green expansions. Pumps, right? So who's to say that we're not going to get a pump very soon? Right? That's the thing here, guys. And because we're currently getting that bearish response, what we really want to see is this bearish response be done. We don't want to see a bearish response any longer. So with that said, we got to be patient because it's likely, it could happen that the volatility line, the orange line, gets oversold. And when it does get oversold, which is below this green line right here, below the 20 mark, is when we get the majority of the dip. But then that's when we start to build a bit of, security, somewhat of a security that we're not going to come down further because we're already in extreme zones. The probability of coming down further, decreases significantly. So what we have to understand is that this is the best time to long, right? And expect the orange line to go up. But even more so, as you can see, we're making lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum. That's class A bullish divergence. Okay, so we also have to keep that in mind. Let me get this into a valid trend line so you can see this better. Let me thicken this up so it's very visible. As you can see, higher highs on the price action. One more thing, and higher lows on the momentum. And then another thing that I want to show you guys is that yes, we're on an uptrend. Yes, we're currently backtesting the chop zone at 50%, which is fine, but we haven't gotten overbought yet. And this is not just REALIO. This is Bitcoin. This is a lot of other altcoins. The entire market is pretty much in the same boat, waiting for the next impulsive move to see if we can actually get in overbought conditions, and more importantly for some, to break structure or to change character to the upside, right? To get that pivot point structure. Okay, so let's talk about that in a second. As you can see that we do have some good indication from the trend oscillator, showing us momentum on the trend is doing pretty good. Definitely in the bullish control zone. Finally getting to that. Many drives of class A bullish divergence, obviously looking great. And then all of a sudden we start looking at these expansions that are coming in and getting bigger and bigger. And once again, I want you to see what happened last time we got these expansions. I'm just throwing it out there. We got one right here, and then we got another one in the bullish control zone. Let me just quickly tuck this in, and you can see expansions on the chart. Guys, we could be getting these very soon, right? And we can go for a good streak of them like we've had in the past. And of course, altcoin season would exaggerate all of this. It would amplify all these pumps to the upside, given that, we could see a total market cap increase. We need the total market cap to show some strength so that we can put some fuel to this fire and see some of these lower cap altcoins in general attract a bit of capital. So all of this is looking really good. Okay, just keep in mind everything is good. But if we're going to look at market structure now, so we talked about trend oscillator, momentum oscillator. By the way, guys, if you want to know more about these oscillators, I have links in the description below. They are custom oscillator, Synergy Signal. There's a website there where you can get tons of information. You can join the Discord. It's free. Lots of information there as well. But if we're going to now use market structure as our main evidence, guys, we have a bit of work to do. And again, the higher low, and then we need to break these highs. Why? Because then we confirm the higher high. Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. The trend becomes your friend, and we start moving to the upside. This could be the transitionary phase from bearish price action or bearish trend to bullish trend, and that is what we need to look for when we are analyzing market structure. Bears are going to call this a bear flag, a distribution or a quick exchange of hands, sellers and buyers, and then continuation of the impulse. But if we get some signs here that we're reversing, guys, of course, bullish divergences on all of this, even if we come down for that liquidity hunt and maintain the divergence, class A bullish divergence, and get back above and start moving, guys, this is going to be a super bullish area to accumulate. And then you're going to start measuring. You're going to start saying to yourself, well, what about if we get back to a modest level, a previous high? Where do we go? The reality is we got an empty volume gap right here. I'm on the 4-day, by the way, just to consolidate some of the price action. Guys, we got a massive volume gap above. Massive one, which means that if we do break below above resistance, we can see the price fly right through. And that's the opportunity that you really want, because you don't want resistance on your long positions. You want to fly right through. And if we can break above, modestly speaking, about 28 cents, we start really flying. That would confirm a higher high, by the way. Okay, that would confirm the higher high that I just showed you. We would be able to fly through this volume gap, this imbalance that you see on this chart, and reach about 54 cents, which would be an epic move to the upside for this project, given that it is a lower cap. And if you do a measurement of what kind of gains we would potentially, appreciate here, and we start measuring, and we go from, let's say, modestly speaking, right around here, okay, let's see right now, okay, and average entry right now, and we start exiting here, you will be up 108%. So you have an opportunity to take your initial investment off the table, half on the double, while still leaving all your gains in, which would be equal to your initial position size. But you're able to take your initial investment off the table, guys, de-risking, 100% de-risking here, so that you have no exposure of your personal capital into this market, only house money. a perfect place, a perfect position to be. Why? Because then you can go look for other opportunities in this market to deploy that capital while still having a very nice position equal to what you were willing to hold before. Perfect, right? But then again, we start asking ourselves, is that it? Is that all REALIO is going to do? Well, it's got a bit of work to do to get through all of this volume and emotion. 100%, it could happen and it should happen, but we're going to only get that strength once we get a bit of more market cap here and we see more indication of an altcoin season. Now, of course, we can start talking about previous highs, all-time highs, price discovery, extension levels, all those bullish, targets. But let's say we go up to the previous high, guys. You're up 1,000%. That's a 10x from the bottom. Okay, that's the reality. We're not even talking about major moves. Forget about all of that. Right here, you get a 10, 9x. You did very well. Congratulations. Take your profits and trail up a stop loss and let it continue moving. That's what I would be doing at that level. So right now, RIO is in a good spot. If you are interested in accumulating, this is a good spot to DCA on a real world asset narrative project that obviously has been picking up a little bit of interest throughout the market. In fact, some people believe that narrative could be the first mover through as we start transitioning into a bullish move to the upside. All right, guys, so if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. Feel free to join me live tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.